What does functional fitness mean? Anyone want to take a crack at it? What do you think functional fitness means? There's no wrong answer.
Well, from my standpoint, I think that it means moving with the body the way it's developed in perfect nature to already move. I mean, every muscle is meant to lengthen and contract, and our joints and everything's meant to be that way.
Okay.
So it's really, I think, the development of wrapping our head around what already exists.
Okay, so functionality being what already exists in our own true nature, how we are meant to move, knowing that Shelley might not move the same as Angela, but functionally it's appropriate for them. Good answer. Anything else?
I think it's about finding something in fitness, whether it be yoga, Pilates, whatever it is, that fits how you need to function in your life. You know, a truck driver versus, well, office, that's pretty much the same. They still, but they get bounced around differently. There's just, what do you need for your life? What do you need? Do you need a strong upper body? Do you need a stronger lower body?
Exactly. So you're looking at functionality. This is a great answer. And she's saying functionality for each individual, for each lifestyle, and for their needs and their values and their desires. I love the idea of the truck driver. He's going to need some good core stability so that his back doesn't start, hurting him. Equally as so, someone that sits in an office is going to need the same core support, but for different reasons. Okay? So we have this constant underlying principle about this doggy here, the core. Okay, so it all kind of comes back to this area regardless. So here's something I want to pose to you. The idea of functional fitness or core functional fitness, everything is a core pose. So the concept that I'm just starting to get people to understand nowadays, at least for me teaching here at the studio, is everything is a core pose, people. What are your core classes? I want to do some moves for the core. And I'm like, honey, everything is about the core. You don't just turn this guy off and then go, oh, now I'm going to use you now. Oh, now I'm not going to use you. I want you to use this all the time. So that when you're out in everyday life, that's the idea of functionality. That what you're doing on the mat is making your life better. That's the idea of the headstand thing. How are you going to use headstand? Unless you're going to pick apples from a tree with your feet, like, how does it help you? And yes, there's energetic benefits and there's benefits to serotonin in the brain, things like that. But there's also other ways to make that happen, especially if their neck can't handle that, or their shoulders aren't stable enough for that, or they get dizzy or lightheadedness. There's other valuable components to do that. So functionality for your life. I have a quote here from Gary Gray, who's the creator or the kind of body component builder here of the Grays Institute. Each person is different and therefore treated differently. The principles are the same, however, the techniques change per person. So I'm asking you, why are you doing what you're doing? So I wake up, and every couple of months I ask myself, why am I doing what I'm doing right now? We can ask ourselves that about life, but also about the type of fitness that we're doing. How is it helping me? Is it hurting me? And I think as a teacher to a student, it's really cool when students start to actually recognize that what they're doing isn't helping. They may have lost weight. They may have bigger arm muscles. But are they really in better shape? Are they really functionally in better shape? Do they really feel better? And maybe on the surface, but once that adrenaline rush runs off, and once that kind of edge of what they've been doing kind of wears off, are they really helping themselves? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Then once they burn off the adrenaline, it's like, I need something to get my workout on. What?
Yeah, exactly. So I have a little example in here, and it says, you are a runner, and most runners run in a straight line. Body moving forward, arms and legs going forward. So then the question becomes, okay, is this run really good for me? And so I like to act things out. And so you're a runner. Okay, you're running 5, 10 miles, 3 miles, 1 mile, okay? So you do this for 20 minutes, half hour. Then you can reflect and say, oh, what's my normal job that I do for a living? Oh, I sit at a desk all day long in one plane of motion, the same plane of motion that I'm going for my run in. And then I sit down on my couch and I read a book or I watch TV in the same plane of motion. Maybe I lay down in the same plane of motion. Then I go into the kitchen and I make dinner and I wash my dishes in the same plane of motion. Then I go and sleep in the same plane of motion. You have never moved in any different way all day long. But you went for a run, so it must have been good for you. You're healthier, right? But you've never expanded your body beyond this one forward motion. Think about even a yoga class, okay? How many times are you moving in movements that you're always moving in the exact same plane? Well, maybe you do a warrior too. Or maybe everything is in sagittal plane or everything's in frontal plane. Okay, so when we think about it, those components matter. Okay, the invention of the swivel chair, the greatest invention but the worst invention ever. No one ever has to cross the midline of the body. No one ever has to turn around anymore. The chair does it for you. Interesting component. So no wonder we're tight as hell when we come into yoga class and it's like you ask you to twist, and you can't even twist at all because all day long life allows you to not have to do that. I have a backup camera in my car, which is awesome because I'm a horrible parallel parker, but I recognize myself having to keep reminding myself to look over my shoulder. Not because I don't want to use the camera, but because I need to turn over and look over my shoulder. Okay, another thing that technology has kind of raped from us to have to keep moving. These little things matter, people. And that's, I think, my point here with this functional movement is that little things matter. Getting down and tying your shoes. Okay, you want to be able to do that till you're at least hopefully 80, you know. Then you get Velcro and it gets easier. Then you just get slip-on, you know. But then at least you can still put them on, you know. So does that kind of make sense, this kind of concept I'm trying to portray? So as teachers, start racking your brain and saying, how am I teaching my classes? Not that you need to move in every single plane of motion, every single movement and make these really big and grand, but notice the ruts that you might be caught in. You'll never see me teach a regular sun salutation. I don't think I ever have in a day in my life because everything is in forward motion, okay? It's in sagittal plane. We do enough of sagittal plane stuff during the day. We need frontal. We need transverse. We need this constant rotation. We need this openness in the body. We do enough of this all day long. Is that really bringing valuable efforts of exercise to your students? And then we have this play in our head going, but it's tradition. It's what they've always done. Yeah, but we're not who we are 5,000 years ago. We're the modern American body now. Big difference, and we need to address that. Cool. Awesome. Okay, so functional movement exercise. So we're looking at physical exercise. Is an all bodily activity that enhances or maintains physical fitness and all over health and wellness. It is performed for various reasons, including strengthening muscles and the cardiovascular system, honing in on athletic skills, weight loss, maintenance, as well as the purpose for enjoyment. So frequent and regular exercise boosts the immune system and helps prevent dis-ease, such as heart disease, cardiovascular, type 2 diabetes, obesity, so all those basic ones we always hear all the time. It also improves mental and helps with depression and helps promote and maintain positive self-esteem, which we all know that. And if you kind of go down, talking a little bit about childhood obesity. So when we think about these types of things and we think about physical exercise, it is so crucial that we get people moving. But there's a point where just doing any kind of movement isn't good enough anymore. We need to refine those skills. Would you agree? So, you know, lifting weights or helping people forward bend, you know, okay, getting them to be more flexible, but then as they get more flexible, you want to keep refining that so that they can get to that point where they're actually moving where they should be moving from. And if you've ever worked with severely obese clients, you know, you can't exactly tell them, find neutral by touching your hip bones and your pubis bone. And they're like, what? You want me to find what, where? That might not happen. So we have to kind of eyeball what's the value of that, what are we trying to accomplish, and as they get to that point, then yeah, maybe we can bring these concepts in, these components in. So there's all these different factors that we also have to kind of consider. Corrective exercise. I don't like this word, but they still use this in the fitness industry. Here you focus on movement that corrects deficits in the human body and movement system. So what would you have as an example for corrective exercise? Or what would you feel like that is to be true? Yeah, I don't like that word. So corrective exercise is often what they would use like in a PT setting. And so they're trying to correct a deficit or fix an injury. So that's really kind of where that terminology comes from. You're laughing.
Well, because everyone I ever see on my table who it's not doing any, like I feel really bad saying that, and it boggles my mind.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what are you doing about this? Well, nothing, because this is, again, this is my leg that's bad, or I had this knee replaced. Okay, well, what about this hip and this ankle and this and this and this and.
So you're bringing up a great point, because what Angela's kind of recapping is that someone goes in for a knee issue or says to you they have a knee issue. Well, the knee really isn't the problem. Okay, referred pain, maybe the foot, or they're walking funny for 50 years and their knee finally takes the brunt. Or when I hear people, they'll say like they were gardening and they threw their back out. It wasn't the one time you were gardening that threw your back out. It's everything else that you've been doing, and the gardening was the last straw. So as far as core functional fitness goes, that's a component that's really passionate to my heart to get across to people, okay? Even let's say they come to your class. Well, I came to Jesse's class last night and I did something to my back. I hate to say it, but it really probably wasn't the class. 99% of the time, maybe 95% of the time, because I know there are some things that you maybe want to turn your head to. It really isn't the class. It's what they've been doing their whole life before that, and maybe they didn't have the proper guidance, but they kind of pushed too far, and that class was the last straw. Would you agree to that? Yeah.
But people say that all the time about massage or anything.
So it's a
Like,
mindset.
well, that's fixed, but now this hurts, and then it's like you have to keep going, and it's always like, yeah, we have to unwind, like we have to get the whole knot out. You know, like it's not that easy.
Yeah, I would agree. Okay, cool. So we're just going to finish up with this section and then take a short break. Performance conditioning. When the body has performed specific tasks like walking, climbing, sitting, or specific sports, all humans must and do have levels of performance conditioning in order to live life. Each person is an athletic or athlete. We are simply exhibiting different qualities of performance we are engaged in and working to achieve. And so one of you, I think Carla, said something very similar to this idea of performance conditioning. We all have different, Val, with the truck driver, we all have different needs. So we may choose exercises specifically to meet those needs. So the cool thing, what I found about a core functional fitness, and as I'm kind of going through and kind of tweaking and looking at movements different and kind of created some movements here and tweaked ones that are existing, is that what if every movement that you did could help your back issue and your knee issue and your foot issue and your idea and desire to want to have a stronger core and whatever it is, they could all work for everybody as long as we have a blueprint to follow. So that's the idea for me for performance conditioning. We look at it as like a football player's train for football and baseball players train for baseball and lay people train just to live life and function. But what if we could all train and use the same movements and all get results that we need and more? So that's kind of the concept for me of performance conditioning, is we all want to perform life. That's the goal, whether we're an athlete or not. Okay, so 3 movements in life everyone needs to be able to do. I feel very passionate about this. We have a chair yoga here, and this is something that we have instilled in these ladies, and they're anywhere from 40 to 75, that they now get this concept, and we probably would all agree, having all elderly people in our lives at some point or another, we all need to be able to bend. We all need to be able to reach, and we all need to be able to squat. These are basic functions that we need to be able to do in order to live life happily. Live life to the best function. Okay, so when we look at what we're doing in our class, is there some sort of reaching? Is there some sort of bending? Is there some sort of squatting? Okay, squatting may be something really small. It may be something all the way down to your tippy toes. Okay, so it can be at a different range depending on what works for people. When we think about extension, I want you to maybe pose the option for you to take out of the word vocabulary back bending from your teaching repertoire and change it to extending. Back bending poses the idea that we're bending our back, and extension poses the question of lengthening and moving from the pelvis. Big difference. You will save your spine a lot of havoc. Okay? So very rarely do I use the word back bend, okay? Because you're setting your students up for the idea that they're bending their back, and really you're not. You're leading with your pelvis. Okay? So that's kind of an interesting thing to think about.